Hi there, welcome back to Creatively Crafted Life. My name is Melanie, and Nikki is in the craft room with me virtually for another Calling Creatives. Hi, Nikki.
Hey, Melanie. Soon you're going to be in Kansas, right?
If you want to know what Nikki is alluding to, you have to head over to her video that she posted on Monday where we talked about some potential moving in the future. So head over there, make sure you check that out. But before you do that, let's talk about our journaling prompts for the next 2 months. So this is where we're going to give you some ideas for some journaling or maybe some scrapbooking ideas. And then next month, we're going to come back and share a project that we made, hopefully inspired by one of the prompts that we discussed. So Nikki, what's the topic, the journaling prompt topic for this go round?
So we're talking about school this time around, and I have a feeling we probably have some of the similar ideas because when you think school, what's the first thing that people ask you? What was your favorite subject?
Yeah. For sure. I had written down, I just called it favorite. Right.
Yes.
So like what's your favorite subject, your favorite teacher, your friendships, your favorite projects? Maybe you wrote an essay or you did some sort of science fair project or something like that. What was your favorite?
Mhm. Now, as a kid, did you always say that lunch was your favorite subject?
No, I always said, okay, this is going to show my inner geek. My favorite subject was always math.
Me too. That's why I'm a math major.
What other favorites can you think of?
I had talked about least favorite as well. Like, who is your least favorite teacher? What was your least favorite subject? My sister and I were talking the other day, and she has a least favorite teacher that has like ruined her life, it feels like, because she's so
Yeah.
dramatic about it. But just talking about how those things can influence you in the future.
Right, right. What was interesting, and this leads to another prompt that I have further down, but I can remember every single teacher I had in elementary, junior high, and high school.
Wow, that's impressive.
I cannot remember any but one name of a professor I had at university.
Huh, that's crazy.
That's it. I can only remember one. I remember like the impressions of the other professors,
Mhm.
but I don't remember their names.
Right, right.
Now, to be fair, when you're in school, like elementary, whatever, like especially in elementary, I had the same teacher for the whole year, right? Like
Right.
for like 6 hours of the day versus the university, you had them twice a week or 3 times a week for 6 months or something like that. So it's a little bit of a different comparison. But yeah,
Mhm.
I thought it interesting that I really didn't retain much from those university years.
Well, isn't it interesting too how influential teachers are in our lives? Like you remember all of them.
Yeah.
I remember select few who really made a difference in my life. Do
Be
I remember their
interesting.
names? No, but I remember what they look like.
Well, that might be interesting to document, right? Like why do you remember the ones that you remember? You
Mhm.
know? What was it about it that they made a mark on your life that you still can recall them? Maybe you don't remember their name, but that you can still recall who they are. So I mentioned that this would lead into another prompt. And so this one actually is about the one professor that I remember. His name was Professor Smiley. So it probably helped that his name was a little bit different.
Mhm.
He was also a very unique character, and he had a very specific way of coming into the classroom. And it was well known in the faculty that, previous years would tell us, the lower levels that they would say, oh, when you get Professor Smiley, he's going to do blah, 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 da, 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 da. And sure enough, you're sitting in the classroom, he walks in and he does exactly the same thing that they told you, right? Like down to the
Mhm.
T. So I think that was part of it was his unique character. And then ironically, and this is probably what I'm going to document, is he taught my least favorite class.
Mm.
And I'm not going to go into the story because I think this is what I'm going to document. So if you're interested, be sure to subscribe because, next month we're going to talk about what layouts we made featuring these prompts. But the general prompt, though, is how did your schooling impact your career? So
Right.
what did you study that was actually useful in your current career? Or maybe you studied something and you're not doing anything related to that at all anymore. And why did that happen?
See, I was thinking the same thing, right? So in school, like high school, they start drilling you like you need to pick a career and all that kind of stuff. And so I have career goals versus reality, right? What were your career goals and your life goals when you were in high school? And how does that look now? Do
Right.
you use your degree? Did you finish college? Did you, do you use anything that you learned in school? I would say I'm not in a mathematics career. However, the principles I learned of mathematics I use daily.
Oh, well, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I definitely would say I have a business major and I focused on accounting. So I don't do accounting anymore, but there definitely is crossover. Like it's definitely relatable. But yeah, it's kind of I'm for sure I'm gonna do the story. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do this. So I'm not gonna go into it. We got to hold on to it
Yes.
for a little bit longer.
Yes.
I was gonna say, have you documented anything from your school years, early school years?
Not really. I have some pictures, but not many. And the pictures I have are elementary school pictures, And so it was more of just getting it on a page so you could see how cute I was in third grade.
Right, right.
That's kind of it. There's a couple stories like in elementary school, we were learning about decimal points and how when you're supposed to say the decimal point, you say the word and. And so I got a fever and I called my uncle up because my grandpa wasn't available to pick me up. And I said that I had 104 fever. Now, as an adult, you think 104, not 100.4.
Yeah.
Right. And so he came rushing thinking he had to take me to the hospital.
Yeah, yeah.
So I probably should document that because that's just a cute, funny story.
That
right?
is cute and funny. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And you can easily document that without photos, right?
Mhm.
There's so many scrapbook supplies out there just generically, but even I know there are some out there for, when people are not feeling well or sick or whatever, you could use some ephemera pieces to tell the story. Would be fun.
Mhm. Yes.
So I have my class photos.
Mhm.
So, but I don't know if they still do that anymore, but we used to get the photo where everybody in the class is in one picture.
I didn't get that last year, even though I think I had the opportunity. They never sent the form to buy it. I only got my son's individual picture.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if they still did the full class photo or if they do some sort of collage or something now. Who knows? I don't have any kids, so I don't know what's current. But anyway, so when I was in school, we had the class photo. So I have that. And then, of course, I have my individual photo. So all of that I have an album that's got those together. And then my report card from the year.
Mhm.
So all of that's together. But I haven't really told any stories, right? Like it's just grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. Like there's nothing to flesh it out. So one of my prompts was do kind of some reflection journaling. What do you remember from each year? Mm-hmm. Right. And I'm not saying it necessarily has to be a full-blown 12 by 12 scrapbook layout, but you could do like maybe a pocket page where you pull some pocket cards and just, do the little snippets of what you remember from kindergarten or what do you remember from grade 1? Because it's interesting what has become a core memory that you remember after all these years, which when you think about it are silly. Like, for instance, in kindergarten, I remember that we used to have nap time because we went to school for the full day. We used to have nap time. And I thought naps were for babies. I used to get so mad that I was forced to take nap time. And I remember having this conversation with my mom and being very indignant and very like, they make us do nap time, and my mom, I remember her saying, she's like, that's okay. She says, just go lay down by where the books are and pull out a book and just read it during nap time.
Oh, that's a good idea. Good. Go, mom.
Yeah. But like, it's just so funny, right? Like, why would I remember, 45 years later, that nap time was a big deal. in kindergarten.
Yes. I had yearbooks. I don't know that they do yearbooks anymore. I had
Oh,
yearbooks like K through fifth grade
okay.
still. So I can see the names of the kids. I could probably go in and, scan and then print the page and then talk about who my best friend was or who lived in the neighborhood that I was in, that kind
Right,
of thing.
right. Yeah, that's a good resource. I have a few yearbooks, but they're from my high school years. Yeah, that's a good idea to go back. It's actually a good idea just to go back and flip through it to get to trigger your memories, right?
Hmm.
That you may have forgot. It's amazing how once you start going down this path, that one memory leads to another, that leads to another. And really, I think if you just even just document it, write it down, type it up on in a Word document or something, that in and of itself can be part of your scrapbooking journey.
Hmm. One thing I was talking about too, kind of relating back to that yearbook and friends in the neighborhood location. So where did you go to elementary school? Where would kids now go to elementary school if you still lived in that same neighborhood?
Right,
Um, for example, my elementary school closed. So I don't even know where kids now in my neighborhood would go.
right, right. So, and along that point is why, why did you go to the school that you went to? Like if there were options,
Hmm.
what made your parents choose which school to put you in would be interesting to document. And then to extend that out a little bit further, when you talk about post-secondary, why did you choose the college that you chose, if you went,
Hmm.
or why did you go to the technical school that you went to, that kind of thing.
So I think we covered all mine, pretty much everything. I guess kind of along the lines of career goals and reality. Did you use the degree if you got one?
Yeah,
A lot of people I know have not used the degree that they got,
yeah,
but degrees are required for higher paying jobs.
yeah. I mean, I've got some thoughts, some pretty big thoughts on the whole education system and where we are at today. I mean, at this point, people are getting master's degrees and then coming out and doing work at like Starbucks, and it's like, why
Right.
why are we doing this? Like, this just doesn't make any sense. I mean, if you want to study because you love studying and you get something of it, and you have the money to afford it, good for you, right? That's great. But if your expectation is that you're going to get a good job and there's no market for what you studied, like, why are you doing it? But I may have ruffled some
Yeah.
feathers with that one. But anyways, I think we're gonna see a shift here in a little bit with
I'm hoping we need to because
yeah.
it's expensive. Like it's so expensive, and you're putting so many people in debt, and people just can't afford it.
Well, and I just think if I think back to the all the university classes I took. So for instance, I took a 4-year program. It was a business degree. At least half of the classes hadn't have no relevance,
Right. Like your
right?
math, like your basics, like your English, your math, your social studies. Like you still have to take basics in college, which I think is ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember in my 4th year, as I was about wrapping up, the dean of the university or the dean of our faculty came and talked to us, right? Because basically he wanted a pat on the back saying that, they did a fantastic job, and, they were kind of trying to get some feedback as to the
Hmm.
program and what we would change different. And someone had raised their hand and basically said, like, this is great, we've learned a lot, blah, blah, blah. But what's missing is the practical component. Like, how do I
Hmm.
get a job now that I've got this university degree? Or how do I apply what I've learned, right?
Right.
In a useful way. And I remember the dean saying very specifically, and he was a little bit condescending, I guess, in some ways. Like the tone came across like, well, you're not going to university to get a job. That was basically his intent, was that the university was intended as a place for higher education that may help you with a job, but that wasn't the end goal. The end goal in his mind was that you were learning to be a well-rounded individual, and that if we wanted practical application, we should have gone to like a technical school or a community college or something to that extent. And
Wow.
yeah, I just was like, okay, so you're asking for feedback, but you're not listening to what people are saying, right? Which was
Wow.
very interesting.
Oh, I would not want to go to that school. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. I mean, to be fair though, like my school didn't teach us how to apply for
yeah,
whatever. Didn't tell us what kind of jobs we could get with a math degree.
right.
You just kind of are left out there. Yeah, you got this 4-year education, 5-year education. Now what? How do I do my taxes? Like that stuff, that basic stuff is still missing from education.
Yeah. And there's certain fields that lend themselves to more practical application than others, right? So
Hmm.
I was in a business program with the idea being that we were going to go out and work in business. Like,
Right.
how much more practical application could you get, right? Like, teachers or people that were studying in the education all had a practical term in a school. They
Mhm.
actually had to go and work for a certain number of months in a school as part of their program. So, why wasn't there something of a similar line, that if you were an accounting major, that you worked for an accounting firm or you had to do a
6 months.
couple, yeah, or
Right.
whatever.
I mean, even as a business major, I feel like you should have a class dedicated to creating a small business.
Yeah,
And like you
something
put
like
it
that.
to use,
Yeah,
right? And then
yeah,
you walk out with this small
yeah,
business from college.
yeah. Now,
Yeah.
to be fair, they did offer a co-op program, and I was actually part of that. It was the inaugural program, so very first group of individuals that went through this, and I think there was only 25 of us that was in
Oh,
this kind of, because it was an initial launch, right? So they had
mhm.
no infrastructure in place. It would be curious to see what the program looks like now,
Sounds
like
like you need to do some digging and then write
30
about it.
years later. Yeah, because it would be really interesting, because like I said, it was only I think there was only like 25 of us, because they really didn't have, like, they had to go out and find partnerships with the different businesses that would bring somebody
Mhm.
on, that kind of thing. Yeah, it would be very interesting. That might be fun to document too, you know.
That and like once you're done documenting, submit it to the school so they can get feedback.
Yeah, yeah, would be, where are you now, the very first group.
I'm
Yeah,
surprised
and
they didn't reach out to you, honestly. You would think that they would want to know that.
well, I don't even know if they know where I am. I haven't
Oh, that's
exactly
true.
haven't exactly kept in touch with my alma mater, because they'll just want money. So
Oh yeah, I have no idea how. So I went to 2 different colleges. My first college, I have no idea how they know where I am.
yeah.
No idea. Like there's some stalkers involved or something.
Yeah, for sure. So I had one other prompt down, was extracurricular activities. So
Mm,
what other things were you involved with? Or if you weren't involved with, you know, why did you choose not to, right? Or maybe it wasn't an option. Maybe you had other things going on in your life that didn't allow for that. It would be very interesting to kind of, figure that out. Like, for instance, I was in the drama club for one year. I am not. That is not my thing. But it was an opportunity that worked, right? Given
mhm.
my circumstances. And I joined. It was very awkward, but it was what it was. The
That's
other
funny.
thing I thought to talk about, I think we kind of touched base on this, but not just what school did you choose to, especially thinking more along the lines of college or university, but like, why did you choose certain classes? Like, if you had
Mm.
electives, why did you choose the ones that you chose? And the reason why I brought that up is I have a couple classes that I specifically chose strategically, not for career purposes, but for social purposes, thinking that maybe it would advance myself in other areas. But one of them was ballroom dancing. Like, why would I
Oh my
take
gosh,
ballroom
that's
dancing?
amazing.
you know I also took political science. Why would I take political science? I am not that kind of person at all. But a guy that I was interested in was taking the class, and
Oh,
so was a little strategic there. So it would be kind of fun to document some of those stories. Why did you take what you took?
my
Had a lot of,
extracurricular was all about the boys in high school.
yeah. Yeah, or if you were on a sports team, like, have you documented that? What did that look like? Maybe you have photos of that lying around somewhere.
I still play softball. Well, I used to. I haven't this year, but I've documented my adult softball career, and I documented a little bit of my high school career. And I've got a couple pictures of elementary school. Like I've been playing softball my entire life, essentially.
Yeah.
So it's been fun.
Well, that's good. I mean, that and that's really a good one. Like what traits or what interest, did you see early on that you carried throughout your life? That would be really cool. I also, speaking of that, I had a love of reading from a very, very young age. I've got some stories that I could tell about being questioned by the librarian of whether or not I should be reading certain books.
Uh-oh.
It wasn't that the books were bad. I went to a Christian school, so the library was very curated, let's put it this
Mm.
way. So it wasn't that there was anything inappropriate there. It was more the level, that I was reading at a level higher than the average individual my age. And so the librarian was like, "Are you sure you should be reading these books?"
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. I was thinking that you brought like Twilight into your Christian school.
No, no, nothing like that. It just they were. I mean, I was in grade two and I was reading the Anna. I don't know if you've heard of Anne of Green Gables.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
Well, I like the movies. I haven't read them.
yeah. So the books are pretty. They're pretty big. Like for for
Mhm.
for someone in grade two, like they're probably a little bit more advanced than that. But my older cousin, they were reading the first book in their classroom, right, as part of their language English classes or whatever. And she was telling me how good the book was. And so I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna read it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'll have to document that too. I've got lots of stories. I don't have a lot of photos, right?
Yeah.
So this is gonna be another one of those ones where I think maybe I'm gonna pull out the pocket pages and use the pockets just to document little bits and pieces of the stories. So
Mhm.
even though I said in Monday's video that was a regret I had, that I had to purge it, now look at, see, this is why. This is why.
This is why you don't regret purging it.
Yeah,
Or not
exactly.
purging it.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I think that's all we have for you guys today. But if you have any school stories that you want to document, leave them below because they may just inspire us to document some other stories. Be sure to check out Nikki's channel. Our conversation went up on Monday and we were talking about crafting regrets. It's a good one, maybe a little bit long, I think, but then when aren't they? But be sure to check that out. And of course, like and subscribe, and don't forget to comment. And be sure to come back next month when we're going to share our projects using these prompts. And I believe we're going to have another special guest next month, right? See, she's pulling out her planner because I didn't document it. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, yes, with guests I have.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we have a special guest coming on and we're going to talk about some organization related things. So stay tuned.
Challenge. Mhm.
Well, thanks again for hanging out with us and hope you enjoyed our conversation. And until next time, happy crafting.